Welcome. This is the Enlightenment Show, and I'm your host, Laurie Schoenfeld. This is where Chicken Soup for the Soul meets the artist way with Nancy Drew. Our guest today is Sierra Godfrey, author of The Second Chance Hotel. We're going to be chatting with her today all about her new release and a second chance that's enriched her life. Hello, Sierra.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Welcome. Glad to have you joining us once again.
Yes, good to be back.
It is the fall season, which I don't know about you, but that means a lot of nice warm drinks enter even more into our home. Is that happening over there for you?
Well, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, so we have a summer full of cold fog and then a fall full of summers. This is our nice sunny times. However, it is a weird year, as years tend to be these days, and it's a little cooler. So yeah, I'm looking forward to breaking out that tea kettle. I've got one in my office, a little one, a little electric tea kettle, and drinking a lot more tea. Yeah.
What do you usually like to drink?
It depends. It depends if I need caffeine or not. So I'm an English breakfast girl for sure, through and through. But then I like the flavors, I like, and especially in the fall, I like the pumpkin and the apple flavors. So yeah, depends. Depends what I'm feeling.
I'm a tea mood drinker too.
Yeah. And sometimes, if it's too late in the day, you got to switch to decaf, and, I like sort of a floral thing then. But yeah, just depends.
Can you share with our listeners and viewers what the Second Chance Hotel is all about?
Yes. So it is, I've got the book right here for you so you can see the beautiful cover. It is about two travelers who meet on a Greek island. They've been traveling around, and they get to know each other a little bit, and but they drink a lot every night, and one night drink too much and find themselves accidentally married and inheriting the hotel they're staying in, which is a problem the next morning when they are up and going, oh, what did we do? So it's really about Amelia. So the two characters are Amelia and James, but it's really about Amelia, who has torpedoed many things in her life that sent her on this European trip. And so it's really about taking time to learn what she wants in life and getting sort of a second chance at, happiness, finding happiness.
When did the idea for the Second Chance Hotel first spark for you?
A couple years ago, probably in 2019, and I was sitting in traffic and listening to the radio, and I heard this story about a couple who were on their honeymoon on some island, and they had been drinking with the owners and made friends with the owners, and ended up buying the hotel while inebriated. And this was a true story. And I thought, are you kidding me? And they kept the hotel, but they had to move. I think they were from the UK, and they had to move to take care of the hotel. So I thought, what would be even better is if they had accidentally gotten married too, take out the honeymoon aspect. So, and that's where this was born. I really love a marriage of convenience story. That's one of my favorite tropes. So I had been wanting to do a marriage of convenience story for a long time. I just needed that other piece to make it happen. So that's where it came from. And then I lived in Greece for a couple of years when I was a kid. So I wanted to set a novel in Greece. I think I kind of knew that the second novel I set would be in Greece. So.
Mm-hmm. First off, hooray that you heard the radio, because this book is hilarious and brilliant. So thank you for that connection there. And then Greece. Yes, Greece is a main setting within your book, which you write
Yeah,
so beautifully.
thank
Um,
you.
what are some of your favorite spots in Greece?
Well, I lived in Santorini, so of course that's a favorite. I mean, I have a lot of memories there. We still have friends there who run hotels, and there's a lot to do there. And the island's not. I mean, a lot of the islands are not very big, so um, I knew it well. I knew all the good parts of it very well. So of course that's a favorite. And so we split time between Santorini and Athens. And Athens is huge, of course, and has its own vibe. But for islands, Mykonos, of course, is gorgeous. Naxos, Eos, these are all really lovely islands close by Santorini. You can just take the ferry to all of them. So yeah, I mean, Santorini is so full of tourists. It's really a very crowded I mean, everybody goes there when they go to Greece. It's
Mhm.
kind of, it's iconic, but I do love it. I do miss it.
What is a smell or a sight? Just help us get into that setting of what you feel when you're there.
Rosemary is a good scent. It's both fresh and savory, and that's a great scent to have pictured. And the heat baking into the dirt, right? Because it's hot in Greece. It's very hot, and the ground does cake. And Santorini is a volcanic island. It's a volcano, and so there's this. I can't even describe it, but there's a volcanic element to their soil, and everything that they grow, which they still export quite a bit from Santorini: olives, pistachios, fava beans, and a couple incredible dry white wines. The grapes are left out to bake almost to raisin quality before they harvest them and make this really sweet wine. And it's all made in this. It's all grown in this volcanic soil, which kind of adds a little bit of flavor to that. But yeah, I mean, just the smell of the earth under the sun, that cooked kind of it's that sounds terrible, but I remember that a lot. And I remember the wind, a hot wind blowing through the hills. So
Mhm. No, I'm feeling the description. That was awesome. Soak that in. You have a very colorful and wide cast within your book. When
yeah.
you are getting to know your characters, what's a method that you use to do that?
Oh, I wish I had a good answer for that. I love side characters, love them, because I don't think I put the pressure on them that I do for the main characters, and I just let them loose. I just let them wild, and they tend to be much more outrageous than my main characters. They tend to, be that counterbalance to whatever the main characters are. And so they can be outrageous, they can push the envelope a little bit. And I think some of the friends that Amelia and James meet in this book and who live on the island they certainly fall in that category. So yeah, I mean, they all have their own agendas, but they don't care as much as the main characters care about whatever's going on, but they're there to support. So yeah, I just kind of let them grow.
What did you enjoy most about James and Amelia's connection?
I think the sense of partnership that they go through. I love a slow burn romance, and I love a romance that takes time to let the characters be friends as well. I think that just does it for me, and I love that these two have to work together. And there's a couple scenes where they have to work together in they're taking care of this hotel, and they're cleaning the hotel, and it's kind of gross, but the fact is they're there together sharing it. And I think the companionship and the intimacy in that companionship is is lovely. I like it.
Without spoilers, Sierra, was there a moment you can share that you laughed out loud when you were writing your novel?
Oh gosh. I really enjoyed writing the scene of Amelia and James the day after when they wake up and they find out what they have done, and they have a lawyer comes to talk to them and say, yes, you have done these things, sign the document. And they're like, no, what? And I had a lot of fun with that scene because, it was easy to feel the incredulity of that, of just going, no, what? This can't be right.
I was reading that chapter and in my brain, like seeing all the wheels of how hilarious this could have been and how hilarious it is of like trying to think logically, but also there's just not logic to a lot of pieces and all those parts that
Yeah.
like are
Yeah.
just moving.
Yeah. And I also enjoyed Amelia eventually goes back to the San Francisco Bay Area. And I really enjoyed the interactions between her and her best friend, and how they kind of come back together, and also her and her brother. So those were fun. Those were kind of the voices of reason and logic for her. I enjoyed those.
How is the process of writing this book different from your previous ones before?
Yeah, well, this is the second book in a contract, so I had a deadline, which changed everything. That changes every single thing about it. And with the first book, you can take it was a very typical family. What was the book that I signed with my agent, and Um, so I could take years on that. I think I took a couple years on that one. And it went through a bunch of different edits with a bunch of different people, and to arrive at where that was. But this one did not have that luxury. It had to be beta read very quickly by some trusted beta readers. It had to be delivered, and then you work on it with your editor. So um, I think I wrote most of it over, I would say, 2 or 3 month period, and then I let it sit for several months and then came back to it, which is the preferable way to go. But then I had to really get my butt in gear and get that done. So the time span was much shorter with this one.
Mhm. As you've been on your author writing journey, what are some things that have been supportive to you to keep you moving forward?
In general, keeping me moving forward in general, keep writing. I think hearing from the readers that I intended to write for is has been incredible. I mean, these a lot of people reached out to me and said, I got all the humor. I loved everything you did here. And I'm like, yes, you got it. You get me. You get I wrote for you. And that was really nice to know that that worked out. People were out there for that, and I loved that. So that's definitely great. But I think and apart from hearing from really happy readers, which doesn't always happen, it's just I love writing stories. I love writing stories for me, and making sure that I remember what I love to write is really important. And definitely there's been times where I've kind of lost sight of that, or you're like, oh God, I can't finish this draft.
Mm,
Um, and asking yourself, why am I not loving this is a difficult question. I think everybody goes through that where they're like, I don't love this. But do you push through and hope it's great, or do you push through because you know it's great, or do you give up and do something else? So
mm,
yeah, I think you have to
mhm.
find the story that you love to tell. It's not an easy thing. Doesn't always work out with every project.
No.
Sometimes you have to ditch things.
Other than writing, what are other things that you like to create?
Oh, these days, um, I, gosh, creating, I don't know. I used to be a graphic designer, so I still love working on layouts and things. I did a whole bunch of recipe cards for the Second Chance Hotel, and I had a lot of fun doing that. So, but I spend a lot of time reading. I love reading, and I feel like this summer, I really rediscovered the love of reading again all over again, which was great. So spend a lot of my free time reading. Not a lot of time watching TV, isn't not as much as I'd like to. And I work full-time job and have a family, and that sort of fills up the rest of the time.
It sure does. Tell us about these recipe cards.
Oh, yeah. So they're recipes that I worked on with my mom, who's an incredible cook and who has made wonderful Greek food ever since we lived in Greece. And they're on my website at sierragodfrey.com/recipes if you want to download the cards. And there's there's tzatziki, there's Greek yogurt marinade, there's a Greek lemon soup. There's a really wonderful cucumber salad called Santorini salad that's just beautiful. And they're all easy to make Greek recipes. And then in the back of the book of the Second Chance Hotel, there's a moussaka recipe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so if anyone wants to make that with me, and then we can take some pictures of what we put together and then send them to Sierra.
Please. Yes. So moussaka is a really, it's a big recipe. It's like there's like 3 major parts to it, and it takes a while. So plan that in, but it's not hard and it is yummy. So.
So what you're saying is an afternoon, like a few hours at least, should be.
At least. Yeah. Because you have to layer it all in. You have to prepare the meat separately, the bechamel sauce separately, and the potatoes, and then kind of layer all that in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you could do it.
Would you recommend, Sierra, doing it by yourself or having a partner to cook with on this meal?
Have a partner to cook with. It's much more fun. But it can be done by yourself as well if no one will.
Like, this is my kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it depends on the kind of cook you are. I am somebody who needs the recipe right in front of me. I'm just not an intuitive cook. And so, if having people talk to me and like try to help, it's like, just let me just do it. Let me just have everything in place and just do it myself. So.
I love that you mentioned that it depends on what kind of cook you are. Because I'm for sure, like, I don't look at menus at all. I just put stuff in and hope it works out.
Oh, you're an intuitive cook. That's good. Yeah, you can take ingredients and make it work. See, I can't do that, but I need a recipe always that I study,
Yours probably works out 9 out of 10 times, or mine's 50-50 with intuitive cooking. And it's all hormonal, really. So
yes. Well, yeah, that's the thing. You have a less chance of success without a recipe.
Some spices should not be put together.
Yeah, for sure.
If you have a crepe, what are you going to put in it?
I am going to be putting fresh strawberries and cream, but I might put Nutella. And I might, it depends if I'm feeling a little savory, I might be doing cheese, but God, I love a crepe. I love crepes so much. So if it's for breakfast, it's going to be more on the fruit variety. But yeah, you know what? Anything goes on a crepe.
It really does. I'm like, you were doing it with the strawberries and cream, and then the Nutella, I was like, oh my gosh, my mouth is
strawberries, cream, and Nutella. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Gonna go make that for lunch.
Oh gosh, yeah.
When is a time that a second chance enriched your life?
Gosh, I'm not sure I know how to answer this question. I don't know. Maybe it was publishing the first book. That was, I'm waited until I was 30 to write my first full-length novel, and it took a while. It took a long time for me to figure things out. So, getting an agent, getting published, all of that was like, after so long, it's coming true. It's finally happening. And that was a little bit second chancey because, I have a full-time job. I've been a technical writer for a long time, for many, many years. And so when people, I guess it's when you meet people and they say, oh, what do you do? And you can go, well, I'm a technical writer. Or do you say I'm an author? I don't know. I never know. I never know. I'm a writer, somewhere in between. It's hard to know what to say to that. What do you identify as? And I think the answer is writer because I do both. But I'd like it to someday say just author.
Hmm. Yes. Writer moving into author. You're an author already, Sarah, but yes.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, but I also have a lot of imposter syndrome about that. So it's difficult for me to admit it sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I love that you bring that up because there definitely is imposter syndrome that, kicks in when you're on that writer author journey. I've definitely felt that too of, no, I'm still just a writer. I'm not an author yet because I don't have, a certain amount of books or a certain amount of time behind that. And like, there's just different things that come up with that.
Yeah, it's always a level to reach, right? So
Mhm.
at first you're writing, you just write, okay, I'm writing. Then you're a writer. Then if traditional publishing is your path and you sign with an agent, okay, well now am I an author? Okay, now I've got a publishing deal. Now I'm an author. No, I'm not an author. So then you publish the books, they're in the bookstore. You can walk in a bookstore and see it. Am I an author? Well, I'm just a little author. I'm not the big name author. So then it's like these other levels that just, I don't know where it ends. I don't know where it stops. I don't know. Maybe somebody just needs to tell you nonstop, oh my God, you're so great. But I don't want that either. So I don't know. I don't know.
We'll just say it's a part of the journey. And I'm like
Yeah.
high-fiving Sierra on yours, and it will figure itself out for each of us on our path.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to turn it to the inner child question segment. First question. When you were a kid, what was a destination that you wanted to visit?
Well, I got to live in Greece as a kid, and that was always amazing. And we went back and forth a couple times to Greece, so definitely loved being there. But my mother and I were originally going to move to England, so she has some really good friends there, and we spent a lot of time there as well. And I was always very happy to go back to England, and that was always a comforting, good place to be. And a couple times to France and liked that too. So I don't know, European countries as a kid.
Did you have a favorite thing about being down in that area?
Um, you know, as a kid, I think I loved the books, which is such a booky person thing to say. But when you are in England, going into any bookstore and seeing different types of authors and different imprints and different publishers, it's very exciting. And, there's a lot of crossover now, but when I was a kid, there wasn't. And you could always find really incredible kids' books that you would never find them in the US. So I loved that. And I still, even now, if I go, I still bring home a lot of books because I love, getting authors that are just published in the UK and reading those. So yeah, that's books. And when I was a kid, it's, there's a lot of candies that are great over there and that, you can't buy in the US. You can in Canada, but that was always fun.
Like a treasure trove of candy and books.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, when I was an adult, I remember going and finding, I was on a train in England and in the train station, they had a Cadbury's vending machine. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I would get out between stations and because, you can't get all of that in the US. So it was so good. That was a treat.
That like reminded me of like a Willy Wonka on a train type vibe when you were saying that, like
Mm-hmm.
that kind of joy.
It was. It was. I couldn't believe it. You get just Cadbury's, all of the Cadbury's flavors. And I mean, I was like, yes, this is it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And when you go and have a cup of tea, you never have to specify put milk in it because they just give it to you. And you don't have to specify what tea. Because if you order tea in the US, you're like, well, what tea do you want? The herbal, the caffeine, the green tea. And if you want caffeine, it's just Lipton. And I'm like, no, I want black tea with milk in it. And they serve that in the UK. And then they give you like usually some little treats with it too, which is why aren't we all doing that? I love
Um,
it.
please pay attention. Anyone who is wanting to do a tea shop, add your treats, have some books in there.
Books,
Just bring that all in. Someone we will visit every day or multiple times a month.
I love that.
What is a dessert, Sierra, or a topping that you would never put on a dessert?
Smoked salmon. Any kind of fish does not belong on desserts.
No,
That was really easy. You know, I have heard people say you can put either peanut butter or cheese on anything. And my first thing is, ice cream? And the answer is yes, you could still put peanut butter chips on ice cream, which, yes, is okay. Slightly okay. I can't picture putting cheese on ice cream. Maybe in some form, like kind of a whipped cheese. But yeah.
Yeah, and
I know.
yeah. I'm like, because I'm thinking of like, if it's Cheese Whiz, would that freeze if the ice cream's too cold? And that'd be really gross. And then trying
No, it has to taste good.
Yeah.
You can't just do it for the sake of doing it.
Sprinkled cheese and then like blend it in. It doesn't look appetizing, but it might be okay-ish. I don't know.
No.
Before we end today's, Sierra, can you share with our listeners and viewers what living a creatively abundant life means to you?
I think it means giving yourself the time to do what really fills you up. For me, it's reading and writing. But our lives are busy, and a lot of people say to me, where do you find the time? I make the time because this is what I love to do. And reading, gosh, just, is so good. It's so enjoyable, and it's the way I choose to, find entertainment. So I don't watch a heck of a lot of TV, not as much as I want to, because I prefer to spend the time reading. And yeah, I mean, sometimes it's putting up boundaries too. People will say, hey, come out and do this. But, if I'm writing something, if I'm working on a project, or, just want to read, I mean, I don't always go out and do the thing, but it depends, because for some people going out and doing the thing is what fills them up. So you have to just know yourself a little bit and make time for it.
Thank you so much for joining us today to chat about the Second Chance Hotel. Where can our listeners and viewers find you if they have any questions for you after the show?
Yeah, you can find me at sierragodfrey.com. You can always send me an email from there, and on Instagram at Sierra Godfrey.
Thank you, Sierra. We will send those links down below, and go check out those recipe cards as well. Send over pictures to Sierra also.
Yes, please. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
So glad to have you here. Congratulations. And remember, as you go about the rest of your week, to find the things that are working for you. You are the creator of your own story. What steps will you take next? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sierra. And we will see you right here at 12:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time next Monday. Have a good week, guys.